Raiders!
Touchdown! Eddie Stabler goes all the way!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.
You ain't in Kansas no more, baby. It's time to listen to the Degos from the Dago Dungeon. That's right, Murf and Sonny bringing it 110%. Woo!
Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
I think this team can win too, Al. Welcome in to another episode of Raiders Fan Radio. I am your host, Sonny. With me in my headphones and in my heart and with you all is Murf, the co-host of Raiders Fan Radio. Murf, some pretty sexy music, huh?
That's pretty good stuff. Sounds to me like somebody went through a rebrand.
Yeah, and keeping tradition with our favorite team, we just decided to change our name, change our music, change all of our contact information, and basically just confuse everybody who's been listening to us for the past 8 months. I think we achieved our goal, don't you think?
I think we did a fantastic job of going from Raiders Repertoire to Raiders Fancast to now Raiders Fan Radio. And yes, unfortunately, we think there might have been a chance that we could have gotten a little bit of trouble for using Metallica in our intro, which is a phenomenal song, and I loved our intro, but we need to make sure that we have all original content. So you will no longer hear, unfortunately, that intro from us, but you did a fantastic job of putting together that new one for us. That's all Sonny right there. That's all you. You are musically inclined. You used to play in a band back in the day, did some touring, and had some, we'll call it regional success with your band. And I thought you did a pretty good job of piecing that intro together. Like the voiceovers, too. A nice mix of old school and new school. So bravo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I wouldn't say I'm on Metallica's level, but I'm definitely above Nickelback, and definitely appreciate the opportunity to craft some new stuff. Speaking of that, Murf, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find us on the interwebs?
You are listening to Raiders Fan Radio. Be sure to like our Facebook fan page, where we'll live stream video and interact with our fellow Raiders fans. Leave us a voicemail with your feedback and questions, and we'll play it on the show at 909-345-3346. Check out all of our past episodes at RaidersFanRadio.com. Subscribe to our show on iTunes, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, and more. Friend us on Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio and follow us on Twitter at Raiders Fan Radio. Thank you for your continued support of our show, and go Raiders.
How's that for how you can get a hold of us?
I don't like the voice. The guy sounds like a lame-o. And he sounds like a lame-o trying to sound like a professional lame-o. But until I can convince my wife to do the voiceover, that's what we're stuck with. Anyway, let's waste no time, Murf. I think this is the episode where I know I draw a line in the sand, and I think you do. I think you do too. When you come after my quarterback, I'm gonna get all TO on you, and I'm gonna become super defensive, and I'm gonna be pissed. How in the world, A, can anybody hate on Derek Carr, B, pull 5 words he said in the middle of a 19-and-a-half-minute press conference and focus on only those 5 words, and C, pretend he is not close to the situation and doesn't know what's going on and is ignorant to the cause and naive to the cause of the city of Oakland. So many things wrong with attacking Derek Carr. Now, this isn't a Derek Carr can do no wrong. This isn't we are the cult of the Raiders or cult of Mark Davis or cult of Derek Carr. It is quite frankly and simply, how can you hate on the guy who really is the captain and the leader of the resurgence of the Oakland Raiders and Las Vegas Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders, Timbuktu Raiders, whatever you want to call them. When that came out, Murph, oh man, I as a Raiders fan, I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, he gets hate, from Stephen A. Smith, but more importantly, he's getting hate from Raiders fans. Like, it was unreal to me. It was baffling to me. And at the end of the day, this is kind of where I'm starting to kind of go to with my thought process here about them moving. Facts don't care about your feelings. I'll repeat it one more time. Facts do not care about your feelings. If you have chosen to denounce your Raider fandom, why are you listening to this show? But if you have chosen to denounce your fandom of the Raiders, then Derek Carr is right. You are not a true Raiders fan. And nowadays in our world, we say this true word a lot. You're not a true Christian. You're not a true fan. You're not a true whatever you want to. People say this true concept as a way to like distinguish who's real and who's not real and stuff. Just yesterday in my job, Murph, I learned a new phrase. It's called dead ass. You ever heard dead ass before?
Yeah, like being dead ass broke.
No, no, opposite. Culo muerta. It means truth. It means, yo, dead ass Murph, you're bald. Yo, dead ass Murph.
Hey,
hey, dead ass Murph, I am too. Dead ass Murph. Raiders went 12-4 last year. Dead ass means like it's a way of like saying this is true. This is 100% truth. And I think a lot.
Well, that's where dead ass broke came. Like it's unequivocally true. Like I'm dead ass broke. I'm yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's weird how our culture comes up with these phrases to further distinguish what we're already saying. Like it's not enough to say you're broke. You have to throw in something else to describe it. So when Carr's saying not a true Raiders fan, well, that's a little bit of the culture and society creeping in, but he's right, isn't he?
Well, hold on.
If you're not following the Raiders, if you're saying, I'm not a fan no more, then he's freaking right. And furthermore, you're going to focus on those 5 words versus the first 12 minutes of the press conference or however long he spoke for before he said that, when he was saying, my heart aches for the city of Oakland. This is hard stuff. This is difficult, and that's all he's ever done. And he's kind of been the focal point of it. And the guy, and I'll slant Mark Davis for this. Why isn't Mark Davis speaking more about it? Why is he making the players speak about it more? Right? You almost wish they were more like the Patriots in this matter, where they wouldn't talk about it and they would just focus on the field, but they don't because that's not who they are. So God bless Derek Carr for speaking. And I'm coming after anybody who comes after him.
All right, hold on. Let's set the tone here, okay? Let's start from the beginning. I know, and I appreciate your tirade, and I appreciate your passion. Let's set the tone of what happened first. Okay, so first off, here's the quote. So what they were doing, the players were they reported for OTAs, or not OTAs, but the off-season workouts, the voluntary workouts. And Rodney Hudson, Derek Carr, and Khalil Mack all had presser time where they got to get. I didn't unfortunately see Derek's live. I saw Khalil's live, which was great. But I read all of the Carr stuff, obviously, and then followed up with all the backlash. So here's what in this players press conference kind of set up. That's why the owner wasn't there, because it was for the players that were there.
He's not speaking period about it. It's Derek Carr.
Slow down. This was set up for players. This was not.
I know
Reggie
that.
is okay. Reggie is on right now. Today is front office stuff. This was something that came up during the players session. Okay, so that's why you hadn't heard anything from anybody else. While he was up there, his statement was, "We're not going to split up like you've seen other cities do. We're not going to do things like that. For the ones that do, I don't really believe they're true Raiders fans. I feel they're hurt. I'm with you. I hurt too. But at the same time, we're all in this together, and we're just doing it together." Okay, so that's the full quote. When you listen to that and you consider that in its context, Yes, he's hurt too. But what is the message though is that we're all doing this together. If you're really a fan, then you're not going to allow this to come in between. He used the term true, or you could replace that with real, or you could replace that with a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, what his meaning is that, look, if you're a fan, don't let this stop you from the enjoyment, from the entertainment, from the blessing of this team and the success that we're getting ready to have. Then the next stage is that after this huge backlash mainly from the city fan, from the Oakland fan, he came back out and he said, just in case I was misunderstood, I love all, capital ALL, Raider fans, wherever they are from. We are in this together always, #Raider Nation. And most everybody came out and said, look, dude, you don't have to clarify. You don't need to come to your own defense on that. We get what you meant. But unfortunately, there was this sect of fandom that you're right, that had this backlash against him. But that's the context of it, though, which was not considered at all by the fan that was criticizing.
It's coming to a head. I mean, it's already been brewing. We in our show, we try to Pollyanna everybody. We try to love everybody, and we're support the Raiders no matter what. The Raiders to us is an entertainment aspect. We don't have a choice. We posted a picture up earlier this week. I was at a Raider game when I think I was like 8 years old or 9 years old, being drugged around by my dad, going to meet all these old people named Kenny Stabler and Ted Hendricks and Fred Bolitnikoff and Jim Mott and all these people. So it was just bred into us from an early age. We're going to be the Raiders fans no matter what. I guess, if I don't know what would have to happen for me not to root for the Raiders and stuff. Even when they're dire years, you don't follow them as much, but you're still following them and stuff. You're still paying attention. So to me, it's not something you can just turn off or turn on. And this whole concept of the Oakland fans being so pissed they're not going to follow them no more. I can't tell another man what to do with his money. I'll never tell another man what to do with his money or what to do with his time and stuff like that. I understand as much as I can. I was from the Bay. I'm not anymore. But or I don't live there no more. But I get it. I get that you're pissed, and I think Derek does too. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Murph. Where'd Derek Carr grow up?
Like Bakersfield or something?
Yeah, then he moved to Texas for a little bit when his brother got drafted. But he's from California, so beyond him just being the quarterback, he's freaking from there and grew up a Raiders fan. It's baffling to me how we can let our feelings over or matter more than the actual facts of the matter and stuff like that. And I think, didn't you do some research this week on some attendance and some stuff, that maybe Oakland residents could have done to help prevent this from even happening in the first place?
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of dug into some stuff, and you used the term earlier, facts don't care about your feelings, and I think that might be my new favorite slogan or term or whatever, and especially in reference to things like this. And frankly, we could use a lot more of that in the world as a whole. But, when it comes to this stuff, it's a hard thing because it is such an emotional thing. And, even if we could be critical of the fan that has the backlash because they're moving away from Oakland, we still understand you. Like, we still get it. Like, yeah. So anything that let me preface anything that we're going to talk about today by saying this, that look, like you said, you're not going to tell anybody what to do with their money. We're not going to tell you what to do with your feelings. There is no right or wrong way to be a fan of the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, or Los Angeles Raiders. There's no right or wrong way to do that. What I question is that when you choose to stop your fandom and you choose to remove yourself from the fandom based on any perceived slight, that's what, look, you knock yourself out. That's fine. But that I don't understand. That's the part where my wires get crossed up. That's the part that doesn't compute with me. And especially when we look at historically what has gone on with this football team, and we'll just say recent history, like say, just going back to around, say, 2009-ish range. The Raiders are moving because the Raiders don't have a high-functioning place to play football. That's the bottom line, okay?
Wait. They don't have a functioning place to play football.
Right. Right. Okay. So that's the root of all of this. Take whose fault and finger pointing and all that stuff out of the equation. The root of this is that the Raiders need a better place to play. And their bosses, the NFL, want them to play in a better place and are going to enable them to do whatever they can to seek that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in their existing city. Whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, or Sonny likes it or not, that's the facts, okay? So what led to the Raiders moving and to going outside of the city of Oakland or the Bay Area to find that place to play, that high-functioning place to play football? It was attendance. That, again, facts don't care about your feelings. The bottom line is Oakland fan didn't go to enough football games. Now, look, I understand. It's not a great place to take your family, okay? Bottom line, real world, it's not the greatest place to take your family. So unless you have a place where you feel like you could take your family, attendance is going to suffer. It's the sight lines and the height of Mount Davis or whatever you want to cite, okay? The bathrooms are an issue and the whatever they are. It's not up to me to determine what it is. I've seen that place firsthand a million times and love it, but also I'm willing to recognize the things about it that I don't care for, okay? Mm-hmm. But there are things out there that other people don't care for. It might be the product on the field, okay? Whatever it was, Oakland fan was not going to the games. And so when we look back, okay, going back, recent history, the things that led up to 2017, the Raiders didn't move to Las Vegas because of what happened in 2017. The Raiders are moving to Las Vegas because of what's been going on for the past 8, 9, 10 years prior to that. So when we rewind the clock and we look at like the 2009, say, season opener, okay, that sold out. In 2009, 8 straight games after that were blacked out. That means that for 8
What does a blackout mean, Josh?
All right, so a blackout is they've lifted a lot of the restrictions now, but historically what a blackout is that if your team does not reach a sellout, then the game at your home games, that the game would not be broadcast on local television. Okay, I remember talking to my dad, back when he was still alive back then, about how he would have to go somewhere or he would have to get rights on TV with DirecTV or whatever else to be able to see a Raider game, because he couldn't watch it on local television, because since the game didn't sell out, they didn't broadcast locally. Okay, so for 8 straight games after that 2009 home opener sellout, for 8 straight games, the Raiders were blacked out. What did it mean? So that means nobody was going to the games. You want to blame my dad for that as being part of those people? Sure, fine, blame him. Point being, he's dead now, so can't answer for it. But the point is that nobody was going to the games. So do
you know what the average attendance was for 2009?
I don't. I only had it back back to
44,000 people.
44,000 out of a stadium that at the time held 63,000 people. That's why. So as of 2010, so we'll fast forward to the next year. So after those 8 straight blackouts, we're going to 2010, 76 of 120 games played at the Oakland Coliseum. As of 2010, 76 of those 120 games blacked out. That means not enough people were going to the game. So then we
76, go. Whoa. 76. Where do you get 120 games from?
As of 2010, there were 120 games played from when they came back in 95. Okay. So, but of the 120 games that were played in the Oakland Coliseum as of 2010, 76 of those were blacked out.
So between 1995 and 2010, of the 120 home games that they had, 76 were blacked out. Due to not enough people being in attendance.
Right. That's correct.
So 76 into 120, what is that mathematically? Do you know offhand?
I don't know. Half is 60, so it's like,
that is
say 70%.
63% of their games did not have enough fan attendance, therefore they were blacked out.
There you go.
Okay.
So what's that? Okay. So again, what happened leading up, Oakland fan? You're so bitter about what's gone on. Well, let's rewind the clock a little bit and let's figure out what the source of a lot of this stuff was. So nobody was going to the games in 2009. Sonny, 2010. You want to guess where the Raiders were? Don't look at the screen. Are you looking at a screen? Turn the screen off if you're looking at it.
I'm always looking at a screen.
Okay. Well, don't look at anything.
They're probably dead last because they had 46,000 people average attendance in 2010.
That's exactly right. So for a total capacity of 73%.
They were 8-8 that year.
Not a bad year. Not a bad year. And they were 73%.
Oh, I just want to say an interesting thing. The next year, they jumped up to 59,000 because they were 8-8 the previous year, and they went 8-8 again that year. So all the talk from your bitter. And now let's make sure we make a distinction here, Murph. There's the bitter Oakland fan, there's the hurt Oakland fan, and then there's the all ride or die with the Raiders, right? We're speaking specifically to that crowd of people who is very anti-Mark Davis, anti-Raiders, anti-Vegas. That's who we're kind of speaking this towards.
Yes.
Because they make it seem like the Oakland Raider fans are the best fans in the world. They've done everything they possibly can, and Mark Davis is an a-hole. So we're speaking to that crowd. We are not anti-Oakland fans. We are from the Bay Area. This is specifically to that generation or that people group who states we are the best. We did everything we can. F Mark Davis. He's an a-hole. Well, that's just simply not the case because where were the fans? Where were the fans? That's what we're saying. Keep going, Mark.
All right. So in 2010, you're right. So 73% capacity. So then let's go to 2011. We were ranked 28th in the league. Congratulations, Raider fan. That's the highest ranking that we attained since 2009, from then all the way into present day. 28th is your highest ranking. 59,000 average attendance with a 94% capacity. That's pretty good. That's not good. Bad. Yes, it's 28th in the league, but considering the facility and everything else and capacity, that's not bad. So what happens in 2012?
Oh, wait, let's back up. Is this with tarp or without tarp?
Hold on, I'm getting there. So follow along here. So now we get to 2012. In 2012, the stadium has a 63,000 capacity. The 85% rule is now placed into effect. Okay. So now, this is with tarps, all right? Quick answer your question. It's with tarps. So the 85% rule is instituted in the NFL. So now they're saying, all right, look, you don't have to sell out the whole place, but you got to sell 85%, okay? That way, so if you could sell out 85% of this place, then we'll go ahead and lift the blackouts. So they lift the blackouts, and in 2012, what did we happen? We dropped to dead last in attendance again, 54,000 at a game for an 86% capacity. What happens then? 2013, that's when they put up the tarps. So the NFL adjusts their number, their capacity number, so in order for the Raiders, they set them up to be successful, and less people came. 5,000 people average less came to the game, to the point to where they tarped the damn stadium and brought it down to 53,000. So you know how the fans responded in 2013? Dead last in attendance, 50,000 people average showed up to the game for an 80% capacity. That's what cost you your gosh darn Oakland Raiders. Now I'm getting pissed off just going over these dang numbers. This makes me mad. You want to lash out at the quarterback? You want to lash out at ownership? You want to lash out at all these people? You ought to be lashing out at your damn selves, because the freaking NFL and the Raiders gave you every single opportunity to make this thing right, and you didn't go to the games. You didn't go. I went to more Raider games 1,500 miles away than you did. So leave the damn quarterback alone. Leave the team alone. This whole ride or die concept, that's a bunch of BS. You want to be there when the Raiders are good. When they're freaking losing 10 straight games, you're nowhere to be found. No, you didn't go to the games. So don't give us this idea. It's ridiculous. And then after that, Sonny, I'm just going to get myself madder and madder. Somebody shut up. But you know what it does? It gets better. It goes up to 31 in attendance in the entire league in 2014, 31 in 2015, then dead last again in 2016. We've never gone above the 86% threshold. And that's with one game in London and one game in Mexico. You want to know why the Raiders are playing home games on the road? Because they can't sell out a gosh darn game at home. That's why. So now they're the Las Vegas Raiders. Deal with it. Ugh.
Facts don't care about your feelings. And again, this is specifically to those bitter fans who are coming against us. I think we posted a thing on Twitter this week where I said, I even forget the question. Oh, it was if we don't sign Marshawn Lynch, does that mean the pissed off, angry Raiders fan is going to blame Mark Davis for that, or are they going to think that's a smart move? Some guy is like, what kind of dumb question is this? Didn't use a question mark, so I politely tweeted back at him using an asterisk and putting a question mark with his question. He blocked us. And there's been a couple other people who have blocked us, and that's fine. But here's the deal, man. How many years were they in Oakland? It's like they had to move twice. Like a team usually just moves once. Oakland came back, tried to make it work again. The Raiders came back, tried to make it work again, and it didn't work. And now they're gone again. And as Murph just laid out, look at the attendance. You want to blame anybody, look at the attendance. That's all you got to look at is the attendance for the games. Where were the Raiders fans? Where were the diehards in Oakland that love the Raiders more than anything else? And maybe they were there. And maybe this isn't against them. Maybe they were there, but it's the casual fan that isn't going to the game. And that's a fair thing to say. Maybe it is the hardcore Raider fan was there. And congrats if you were. And for all intents and purposes, you probably were there. But the overall scope in Oakland is that people in Oakland right now really don't want the Raiders there. And there was a poll put up by the Chambermaster. We put it up on Twitter a while back. The poll of what's really important to the city of Oakland, to the people who live in Oakland. And there was a bunch of stuff on there about improving public transportation, protecting residents from increases in taxes, making Oakland a place to visit, which, from my perspective, are all great things. Unless your city's intact, you shouldn't even have a football team, right? So, keeping the A's in Oakland, keeping the Warriors in Oakland, and keeping the Raiders in Oakland were all on this list as well. The A's, 64% of the population of Oakland said we need to keep the A's in Oakland. 62% stated they needed to keep the Warriors in Oakland. 56% stated they needed to keep the Raiders in Oakland. The people have spoken. And what do you think a mayor is going to do, Murph? Is she going to go against the public, his will, or is she going to go for what the public wants? And the public shown by A, not going to the games, and B, on different polls, they didn't want the Raiders, man. And Libby is on record as stating they can make more money with the A's because they just play more home games a year, man. You have 81 home games versus 8. Do the math. Even though, 5,000 people show up to an A's game nowadays? It's still more revenue. It's still more people in the seats than it is for 8 games a year for the Raiders, and only 75%, 80% of the people are showing up for the games. So, facts don't care about your feelings. And here's the other deal. If you hate Mark Davis because he cares more about money than a guy who goes to the game, or the guy's feelings if he takes the Raiders out of Oakland, you can't hate him for that. He's a business owner. What's the point of a business? It's to make money. And I think what happens is, we talked about this before, Murph, there's a line that you cannot cross as a sports fan. Sports is an escape from reality for us, right? My family, my work, my career, my friends, those people are far more important to me than the Raiders. Far more. We do this podcast as a hobby on the side when it fits into our life. We don't push life aside to do the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to make that distinction. And all of this is purely entertainment. It's all it is. It's entertainment. The Raiders do a little bit of branching out and kind of creating that persona of a Raiders fan, and I think that's attractive to people. It's tough, it's gritty, it's edgy, it's rebellious to a certain degree. But really, Oakland isn't that no more. Oakland's becoming this gentrified, wannabe metropolitan kind of city. The grittiness of Oakland is kind of died out. Libby's trying to, the concept of gentrification is really prevalent in all of the Bay Area. And look at the housing costs. Oakland was blue collar back in the day. Now it's turning wanting to be tech jobs and all this kind of stuff. So the landscape of Oakland is changing. So maybe it's time the Raiders move. I don't know.
I don't know either, Sonny. It's highly disappointing, and it really, because of some of the comments and some of the feedback we've gotten on Twitter and Facebook this week, and that's what's got me so riled up and really got me digging into this. I mean, I always kind of knew this stuff was going on, of course, just being a Raider fan and hearing the things and being a fan of the NFL and how their rules and the regulations of the league work, and just kind of have a general understanding of it. But I never dug into the numbers before. But when people started throwing this stuff out at us, it kind of led me to dig in and to really get a little, dirty on the research. And it doesn't make sense to me. And whether it makes sense to me or not doesn't matter. But it's two different ways of thinking, and you can't be both. It's either one or the other. And so when people came at us and then they went at Derek Carr, and that just set me over, man. And the idea of a fan that Derek Carr is somehow naive or somehow, misplaced or somehow doesn't have all the facts or misinformed, it just doesn't make, again, my wires are crossed on that. How can you as a fan be so arrogant to think that you know more about the guy that plays quarterback for this team? It just doesn't work. That logic it's crazy person stuff. So to the fans that are coming at us and going at Derek, look at, we're a little old teeny tiny podcast, and he's the quarterback of the future Super Bowl winning Oakland Raiders. But so I get it. There's a big difference. But conceptually, though, that's still, it scales. It's the same. It's the same person that's calling us out as the same fan is calling him out. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work that way. It's so, anyways, I don't know, Sonny. I think at this point, here's where I land. And I think you do too. And I feel like we say this a lot. Like, we're not going to talk about this anymore. Look, we're probably always going to be talking about being fans. It's the whole point of it being Raiders Fan Radio. And we're fans, and so we're susceptible to anything that any other fan is. And so that's what we get on this show and talk about. But what I am definitely committed to going forward, and I don't think that we've ever really given too much of a voice to this in the past, but going forward, man, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and they say only Sith deal in absolutes. But look, if you're not with us, then I'm sorry. You're going to get left in the dust, man. The fan that wants to be hypercritical of every little thing and take quotes out of context and point solitary fingers at one person or what, we don't got time for that. We don't got time. Block us, please. Block us, unfollow us, don't email us. Don't respond to Facebook posts. Just go do your thing. You go be hateful. You go be mad. That's all that stuff is fine. That no one's gonna, tell you can't be that way. You're right as a fan to be that way. But go do that somewhere else. Don't pollute our stuff with it. We don't want to hear it anymore. We're over it. We're gonna focus on the positive. You have a relentless optimist for a quarterback, and that's the guy you're gonna go after. So we're going to mirror him. We're going to mirror his relentless optimism. We're going to mirror the positivity. We're going to mirror the excitement. We're going to mirror Khalil Mack's comments of, hey, maybe not just win, baby, just win now. Let's do this for Oakland. Let's get a championship before we bet. That's positivity. That's leadership. That's what we're going to emulate on this show. We're going to radiate that positivity back out, and we're going to celebrate the Oakland Raiders until the day they're the Las Vegas Raiders, and then we're going to continue to celebrate them. You want to call me apologist? You want to call me not a true fan? You want to call me not a true Oakland Raider? I don't care. You can call me whatever the heck you want. Doesn't matter to me. All I know is that I'm going to ride or die with this football team no matter what. I'll put my damn signature on this show because of it. I can't even talk, Sonny.
Anyway, I'm just tired of the distraction, man. Like, I can't wait till 2021. We've been in Vegas now, and we just focused on the Raiders. They just won their third Super Bowl in a row, and that's all we talk about. It's just the Raiders being the best thing ever. And so that'll be fun. I can't wait till all this is done and we're past it. And I hate even taking up as much time we've already have on the show to address it. But when they came after Derek, it was like, you're gonna come after the choir boy? The dude doesn't even cuss. He preaches on the weekends. He's always talking to kids. When talking about his big contract, he wasn't out there going, yeah, I'm going to buy freaking all my people a house. He's like, man, I can't wait to help people in Haiti. That's what he says. Like, you're going to hate on that guy? Like, that's when your emotions are really getting the best of you and really just ruining your ability to think and process through all this and stuff, So that was the whole reason we wanted to talk about the attendance and talk about kind of what's going on in Oakland as a whole. Even though we're not there, we really don't have an opinion on it because we don't live there and stuff like that. So that's just what we see from afar as fans. And I have to assume we're not alone in this. I have to assume fans all over the country are tired of being told they're not real fans, they're not true Raiders fans. Like, if you're a fan of the Raiders, hey, by all means, go Raiders. We welcome the bandwagons. We welcome anybody. Because, look, if you're getting bandwagon fans, that means you're doing something right. So come one, come all. Let's celebrate the Raiders and move forward. And let's move forward on the podcast. What's next to talk about, Murph?
I like Metallica's Load album. I like it.
I like
it. It did not suck. It was a good album. It's different. It's different. And if you listen to it and you take out some of the crap songs, there are some gems in there. There are some absolute gems in there. And just because I like the Load album doesn't mean I'm not a real Metallica fan. How about
Metallica
that?
died with the Black Album. After Black Album, their careers went black for me. All right.
We need a reset button here. Can we hit a reset button?
Yeah. I don't know if we have a reset button.
I don't think we have a reset button. How we reset?
How about just talk about draft?
Well, you can talk about the draft. Yeah, absolutely. Here, how about we just do this? There you go, Sonny. Talk about the wrap over that. Wrap the draft. No? You don't want to wrap the draft?
I'm going to wrap the draft? What are you talking about? I haven't been able to pay attention to the draft. We've had so much other crap going on.
I know, right?
All right. Well, let's touch on the draft real quick. Here at Raiders Fan Radio, we are not insiders. We do not pretend to be insiders, nor will we ever be insiders. In fact, we are outsiders. We are 1,000 miles away and probably 2,000 miles away. It's outsiders of the Raiders. We're outsiders. So we're not going to pretend. We're not going to pretend that we think the Raiders should pick up this guy that we read an article about who plays at Alabama should go play on the Raiders. Nor are we going to pretend that we think the Raiders should pick up this other guy who we read another article about who plays at Michigan should go on the Raiders. No. In fact, here at Raiders Fan Radio, we are going to address what we know about, and that is the Raiders. And we're going to talk about what we believe the highest priority positions the Raiders should draft for. Because with all the stuff about Vegas going on, to be quite honest, I haven't had time to pay attention to the draft. I watch college football here and there, but I'm so tired of all these guys who pop on a podcast or write an article stating that the Raiders should pick out this particular linebacker with the 24th pick, or they should pick out this guy at number 56 or whatever and stuff. It's like, it's a needle in a haystack. You don't know. But what we do know is what we've seen on the field last year as fans, what we saw as weaknesses, and what we could do and what positions need to be addressed first and foremost in the draft. So, going first, Murph, with the first round pick, which is what, 24th, I think, right?
Correct.
Yeah. The 24th pick, I think the Raiders need to address defense, and there's 3 spots in the defense that I'd be happy if they picked up with that draft pick based on best available player at any one of these positions. And this is in no particular order. Cornerback, Sean Smith, we lost DJ Hayden. He was starting to become a really good tackler last year. His coverage wasn't the best, but he was improving on his tackling quite a bit. So we lost him. Sean Smith maybe wasn't as advertised. He did have a few interceptions, but he wasn't as what we all thought he was going to be. Emerson, stud, stepped up quite a bit. I think we need to get a defensive back. However, we all know a good defensive pressure helps coverage and vice versa. We lost Dan Williams, right? We just recently lost Dan Williams.
We just released him, yep.
Just released him. The Raiders are slim at defensive tackle. We have Justin Ellis and we have Darius Latham, and that is it on the depth chart as far as defensive tackles go. So we need a defensive tackle. We need somebody to get some pressure to be a force on the inside, but we also need a middle linebacker. Yeah. Perry Riley did decent last year, but I think he's off the team now, isn't he?
Well, he was on a 1-year deal, and I don't think he's signed anywhere. Yeah.
So we got Ben Heaney, and then behind him is Corey James. Both are kind of unproven. So if you ask me, of those three, I think we need an inside linebacker. I mean, that is the pinnacle position on defense. Yes, we have Khalil Mack. Yes, we have Bruce Irvin. But those are kind of the outside edge rushers. We need that middle of the field, that tank in the middle, that captain in the middle who can call the shots, who is our stud, who can force the run game to Khalil or to Irvin, or have those guys force the run game to that stud middle linebacker. Give me anybody off Alabama, and I'll be happy. What do you think? Who should we get with the first round pick?
Well, I don't. It's funny you brought up Alabama because the last time they drafted a middle linebacker to be the quarterback of the defense, it was.
I remember. Okay.
Oh yeah. And Reuben Foster's pretty solid in there. It looks like, he's a Butkus Award winner. That's a pretty good player. I don't think he's a first rounder, so I think you can get him somewhere else along the way. Your first round. First off, let me say this. I agree with you. I think inside linebacker is definitely the position to address. Yes, defensive tackle is one to address, but with the amount of defensive depth that is in the draft, I think we can address that at a later time. And so, yes, we should look for inside linebacker. Outside linebackers kind of already been addressed. Jelani Jenkins signing kind of takes the place of Malcolm Smith, kind of fits in there. So I think we're good at the outside. It's the interior. Heaney's not a starter, kind of that experiment. Of course, some mediocre success, I think, at best, to having Heaney in the middle. The guy's got a nose for the football. The problem is he doesn't have the size and speed, I don't think, to play down in, down out. Then he got hurt. So we really don't know what we have there, and we'll find out soon. So with that first round pick, there are a lot of good inside linebackers in this draft. Being that I live just outside of Nashville, Zach Cunningham is definitely on my radar. That's the middle linebacker out of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt not known for its football prowess, but this guy certainly, he is probably the most athletic, I'd say, middle linebacker in the draft when you look at his ability to cover. And I think that's something that we have shown over the past handful of years that we desperately need, is that we need that linebacker that can follow those tight ends or those running backs out into coverage, and while also maintaining that presence, in the middle to be that tackle machine. So I think somebody with that kind of athleticism, that's what the Raiders would need. Now, will he be around at 24? I don't know. I haven't looked at enough mock drafts, and like you haven't, I saw some Daniel Jeremiah stuff the other day, but I haven't dug into the Mayoks and the, Kuipers and all that kind of stuff yet. But I would say that that's definitely, I think, more so than anything else. Because don't you feel like, not to diminish any position on the field, but don't you feel that like defensive tackle is a little more utilitarian than what middle linebacker is? Like, Dan Williams'
I don't know,
production.
dude. Look at freaking Vince Wilfork. Look at who's that beast that the Jets have? Sheldon Richardson. When you have a Ndamukong Suh, when you have a dominant defensive tackle, you can have an average secondary. When you have a dominant defensive tackle, you can have an average middle linebacker. When you have that guy who's disrupting all the time, especially if you combine, just picture Ndamukong Suh or a stud defensive tackle combined with Irvin and Mack, give me a break, dude. We'd be dominating.
Yeah, but see, and I'm going to disagree with you on this. I think you need.
Is it more important? No, I don't think it's more important than an inside linebacker.
But it's more impactful if you have somebody, because what's a defensive tackle's job is in there in the middle is to suck up blocks, right? So you want that guy to take up, to demand enough attention to take up 2 blocks, so guys like Khalil can get free. So that's really, to me, it is a little more utilitarian versus, okay, like you named some all-timers there. Okay, I'll throw another one at you, Haloti Ngata. Okay, right? So if you got, Vince Wilfork, Haloti Ngata, or Ndamukong Suh, okay, you have them. I'll take Patrick Willis over any of those 3 guys any day, all day long. Like, it's not even close. Like, when you get a rock star middle linebacker, they can take over a game. Think about, now granted, I know I'm talking about Hall of Famers here, but when you think about Butkus, when you think about Ray Lewis, when you think about these guys that are the all-timer middle linebackers, the defensive tackles are there to set up the linebacker. If you look at old interviews with the Bears, there was a guy as a defensive tackle named Ed Obradovich. And he often jokes about how he was responsible for Dick Butkus's career, because basically he would get a hold of people and then Butkus would come in and finish them off. Like, that's all you need. You just need somebody to create in the middle a little bit. You don't need a flashy player. You don't need a crazy athletic player. You don't need a real cerebral player. No knock against defensive tackles. I'm sure there's some sweet, nice, smart fellas out there. But give me somebody with a guy like the on-field intelligence of a Patrick Willis and the lateral speed to get to the corner. Dude, all day long over a big old defensive tackle in the middle, especially like Ndamukong Suh, who's way overpaid. Look how much money the Dolphins paid him. Did he make that big of a difference on their defense? I would say no.
So, middle linebacker. So you go middle linebacker, first round pick?
Definitely middle linebacker. And if Zach Cunningham is there, that's the guy, man. 6'3", 234 pounds.
Yeah. But how does he transition to the NFL? We'll see.
He played in the SEC, man. It doesn't get any faster than that, so I'll take it. Again, the draft, you said it very, very well, I think, at the top, and it's something to remember, that despite the experts, despite, all this, the draft is a dang crapshoot. It doesn't, you can have very educated guesses, but you can have very educated guesses that are Jamarcus Russell and DJ Hayden, or you could have very educated guesses. Exactly. Or you could have very educated guesses that are, Khalil Mack and Justin Ellis, right? So, or Gabe Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, there are some that are easier than others, okay? But there's also Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning. There's RG3 and Andrew Luck, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's Vince Young and Jay Cutler. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get until these guys get on the field. So you take what does the evidence tell you? The evidence tells you guy that plays in the SEC has shown that kind of athleticism and the ability to process the game. And I think that's something that often gets overlooked in the evaluation of players as fans, is that how quickly can you process the game? You and I have both played football in our lives. We played organized football, tackle football in our lives, from the times we were little through high school and a little bit beyond. The difference in the players at those levels, or even in the NFL, is how quick can you process you can be the fastest dude on the field, but if you can't process the game quick enough, if you're a quarterback and you can't process there you go. If you're a quarterback and you can't process the field quick enough, if you're Trent Richardson and you can't process what holes are opening up quick, you can have all the crazy athletic ability in the world, but if you can't process the game quick, then you're not going to be successful. And that's what differentiates these guys in the NFL. So to me, that's what I look for. You look for that athleticism, but you also look for the ability to read it and to be smart and to anticipate and to have that nose for the football. That's what differentiates those guys. And so that's where you see like a Zach Cunningham or, there's a couple others as well. We won't give the weeds on them, but those are the guys that's what I wanted. That's what we need. That's what the Raiders need, man. We need that somebody in the middle that's going to be able to, help direct that defense, man, with that additional leader. I think that'd be awesome, man. Of course, everybody wants that. Everybody wants Patrick Willis back there, and he's just the most recent example to me of a player that was just incredibly dominant, played for the worst team ever, but man, he was fun to watch.
Would you be upset if the Raiders drafted a running back with the first round pick?
Oh, yes, highly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We have way bigger needs than that. You could find somebody.
So where do you think? Because there's some websites that are saying, oh, the Raiders' biggest need is running back. Now, granted, I think we still need that first and goal running back. I don't think Richardson or Richard is that guy. Or I'm sorry, not Richardson. Washington or Richard is that guy. I don't want to go spend $12 million on Marshawn Lynch to be that guy. I don't even want to go spend $5 million on Adrian Peterson, who all of a sudden now doesn't think he's worth $8 million, wants to come down to $5 million because nobody's paying attention to him. Blunt, but Blunt has character issues. I don't think McKenzie would sign Blunt. So I think we're going to draft a running back. I'm just wondering where and if they're going to go best man available. So let me ask you this. What round do you think would be appropriate, or would you be comfortable with the Raiders drafting a running back in?
I second at the highest, if not the third. I think that if you look at the third round, there are going to be a lot of guys that are going to fall. I mentioned I saw some of Daniel Jeremiah's stuff. He mentioned the running back out of Toledo. I mean, I missed a lot of the Toledo games this year. Kareem Hunt is his name. I guess he's a pretty good back there. Again, I don't know who he is, but that's who he cited that would be available in the third. But here's what I do know. Is that I know Leonard Fournette's out there. He's probably going to be gone. I know you got Dalvin Cook. He's probably going to be gone. But he's not really – is he the kind of back that we want anyways? You know, guys 5'10",
Fournette would be. Yeah, not
Fournette
Cook.
would be, but he's going to be long gone. So then you got Christian McCaffrey. Could he be around in a second or third round? I don't know.
We don't need him. We already have two versions
exactly.
of him.
But that's where – okay, but here's my sleeper. Now maybe I'm biased because I live in this state. But if you watch a guy that played at towards the end of last year,
Kamara, whatever his name is,
yes, out of Tennessee, man. After Jalen Hurd got kind of kicked off the team, Kamara stepped up, dude, and he's a big back.
We don't need that. He's 5'10", 214, but I don't know. We need somebody bigger than that. I mean, we need a big rush. So you say second round
at the highest. I'm thinking more in the third. I think that yeah, and frankly. All that changes when Marshawn Lynch signs. I mean, or if he signs. I mean, all that changes when and if Adrian Peterson signs. You know what I mean? Like all these things, there's still backs out there that are to be had in free agency. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I mean, and again, it's deep. So I think the Raiders are really up in the air when it comes to running back. I think that out of any position on the field is probably the most volatile as far as who we're going to see back there. I mean, and that's the good news is that there's options. It doesn't have to be Marshawn. As much as I would love to see Marshawn Lynch back there for numerous reasons on and off the field.
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready to buy my beast mode shirt right now or my jersey even. You know what I mean? But I think there's bigger issues.
Oh crap! What was I going to say? I had a question in my head. I just brain farted. You can edit that out of the podcast.
So what do I think would maybe go in the second instead of running back? I think we got to go DB. I think you got to and probably safety. I mean, there are some great safeties. Daniel Jeremiah likes this Budda Baker guy out of Washington, which I did see play a little bit this year. There's also the kid out of Utah who's pretty good. I mean, there are a handful of safeties in the league, and you know, Reggie's going to be decent for another year. Probably, but he's 38 or something now. Like he's getting
old,
up there,
man.
right? Yeah.
He's
so
old.
I mean, and you know, Carl Joseph I thought played pretty darn well as a rookie. But you know what? What better than to get another first year guy back there, get some and lock up our safeties like that.
Well, and we need a coverage safety too, you know, because we got Joseph. He's that play in the box, hit you hard. So we don't need another one of those guys. We need that coverage safety, kind of like that Nelson is, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. And that's like this guy from Utah, this Marcus Williams. You know, he's 6 foot, 195, fast as heck. Like that's exact. Got a nose for the football. I don't remember how many interceptions he had this year, but I watched one of his little cut ups or something that was on like NFL Network or something like that. And the guy's, I mean, pretty athletic. So I mean, yes, that's exactly what you're talking about, and that's what's out there. So I mean, and there's a handful of those guys, and there's more of those guys late. So I you know, again, that could be a volatile spot as far as, but you know, you're drafting depth there essentially because our week one starters are going to be Nelson and Joseph. So do you draft somebody there to for the future? Is that worth a second rounder? I don't know. Depends on who's there in the second round, right? So to me, when we look at the first 3 rounds, or let me back up. We've said before that this was the draft where we're going to draft depth, and I still believe that. This is where we're not building a championship team for 2017. This is where we're building the championship team for 2020, 2021, and on. That's where this is going to happen. This is a very critical draft for Reggie, being that he's going to start committing big fat dollars.
Well, but you don't think that we have a chance now, and I think that's what Khalil Mack says is just win now.
Yeah.
I think if Reggie's strategic enough and he gets 1 or 2, a starting defensive tackle or linebacker or defensive back, any combination of those two that can come in and play legit, we make a run now. So I think it's both. I think it's depth and it's let's plug some guys in now and make a run.
That's what I was just getting ready to say, except for the first round. Like, that's where we got it. That he's got to hit a home run in the first round again. He's got to hit another Khalil Mack, and it's hard to do at 24, frankly. That's going to be a hard one to hit a home run. But yes, we need a week 1 starter at one of those 2, maybe 3 positions.
3 positions, yeah.
Where safety is not, right? Safety is not a week 1 need. Corner is not a week 1 need, despite your hatred for Sean Smith. It's not a.
I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I'm not as comfortable with him there, you could say.
Okay, well, fair enough. It's still, though, he's gonna start, so he's gonna be there week 1, and we got a little bit of depth there. Losing Hayden hurt, but still having TJ carry. We're deep at least through our first 3, so we're in pretty decent shape there, much more so than we have been in a long time. So as far as going, so
yeah,
that's
but
not
your 4th is Dexter McDonald, so I don't know.
Again, but you can find, but when you're talking about a 4th corner, are you going to draft your 4th corner in the first round?
True.
No, you're going to draft your starting middle linebacker in the first round. So I think that has got to be, you're going to go best player available a lot of times. Reggie, we'll trust him, man. He's taken some flyers on guys like Hayden, and he's kind of whiffed on a couple, but he's certainly hit way more than he's whiffed. So, he's got 8 picks. Right, so we got 1 through 6 and 2 7s. So I think that there are enough players, and we don't need And here's the thing too: the number 1 and number 2 needs for NFL football teams are 1, franchise quarterback, and 2, dominant pass rusher, so you can neutralize the other team's franchise quarterback. Right, like that's it. Those are the 2 biggest building blocks that you need to have a successful football team. Well, look at where we're at. We have literally potential Hall of Famers. The Raiders could not be in a better position as far as that goes. So then after that, now that you don't have to try to, look at somebody's going to overreach this year for Trubisky. Look at how they how teams are reaching for, Carson Wentz or, or Goff. Look at the way teams reach for quarterbacks because they're desperate to get that franchise quarterback. Not only did we get one, we didn't have to reach for him, which is another story. But so I think the Raiders have a luxury at 24 that they're not going to have to try to trade up or try to do something stupid. They're going to let the board come to them, just kind of sit back and let it unfold. It's what Reggie did with Carr. He didn't reach to get Carr. He let the board come to him, and Carr was there. He's going to let the board come to him, and we'll see if there's a Zach Cunningham or somebody like that available. But I think that inside linebacker is definitely a need, and wouldn't be surprised to see a defensive tackle after I would be shocked if we didn't get one of those 2 positions in round 1.
Would you be pissed if he went after a running back in the first round?
Yeah, because you can get one later. We just established. Say they don't sign Marshawn, and we have Washington and Richard are our 2 starting 2 starting running backs going into week 1. Yeah, let's pick up Kamara in the second round then. That wouldn't hurt my feelings if they reached a little bit in the second round. No, I think it'll be all right. But not in the first.
I haven't heard much about the draft just because we've been focused on other things. But I do know that it's deep in running backs. I believe on some websites they're saying there's as much as 15 kind of quality running backs that you can kind of pick from in this draft. So that's huge. So I think defense. We have to go defense, right? Our offense is like, who the heck's going to stop us on offense this year, right? But one thing that worries me, and I think this worries a lot of people, is last year the Raiders, what were they? They were 20th in terms of points given up. They gave up 24 points a game. Sometimes their defense looked really great. Sometimes it didn't look really great. There was a lot of debate on whether they even had a good defense. Remember the first 4 games of the year, just giving up the most yards ever, I think, through a 2-game stretch between the Saints and the Falcons. So there's a lot of issues there. If we draft offense, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Reggie McKenzie at his press conference that you mentioned earlier was kind of clowning on people, saying, "Don't be surprised if they go all offense." It's just, I think he's just messing with people. I would love to get Marshawn Lynch and maybe at least have the running back situation figured out before the draft. But at this point, and again, this isn't cultist mentality. This is based on history. I got to trust Reggie on all this because he's proven himself through the draft. He's proven himself. Not only that, look at our cap situation. We tweeted out earlier this week, we have $100,000 in caps in dead money right now. The Raiders do. $100,000. When Reggie took over, weren't the Raiders close to $100 million in dead money?
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it was way up there. It was league high. Yeah.
Yeah, they were league high for years. And so seeing that Reggie McKenzie has done what he's done, gosh, you got to trust him, man. You just have to trust that he's going to do what's best for the Raiders. But if he goes out and drafts an offensive player in the first round, somebody's going to be all pissed off and stuff like that, So
fans are going to be pissed off no matter
what he does.
It doesn't matter what he does. Yeah.
No. But all that said,
they don't need offense.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, no, you're right, but they don't need offense. So that's when you look at our starting 11. Come on,
what about offensive tackle? What if we get an offensive tackle? Because Donald Penn's old, he's getting older. Hudson's getting up there. We have Gabe Jackson, we have Osemele. Jackson's second year, third year. So Osemele's going to play for a few more years, but our offensive tackles are getting our offensive line. There's some old guys on there. So what if we went after an offensive tackle to replace? We need a right tackle, don't we?
Oh, we need tackle, period, I think. But again, you can do. There's 2 things there, and in Reggie we trust. What we're learning about him is that he'll draft linemen late, and he'll sign free agents. Look at everybody on our line out of this rock star offensive line that we have. That's arguably the best in the league, definitely a solid second if you put Dallas ahead of them.
Please, they're the best.
Okay, well they got 1 guy they drafted. All the other 4 are all free agents, all the other starters. And so
was that because he came in and had to do that, or is that his philosophy that you get offensive line through free agency? I don't think that's his philosophy.
I think he likes the proven guys. I think that he drafts for the depth. I don't see him going out and look, right after the first 2 that I named, the third one is left tackle to protect your franchise quarterback that the defensive dominant pass rusher is trying to go get after, right? So that's number 3 on the importance list. Well, again, short-term needs, not there. Donald Penn gave up 1 sack last year, and unfortunately it cost us the Super Bowl. But, sorry, Donald. Thanks for that one. We love you, but sheesh. Yeah, but that's not an overriding need for this football team. It is in the future, but it's not now. So can you draft depth to play tackle and get through this year to win a championship? Yes. Can you develop that depth into be future starters? Yes. Can you then in the meantime sign a guy in the next couple of years to come in and replace him if you need be? Yes. I think that again, those pieces of the puzzle are kind of already laid. What are we missing? You're right. No one's going to be happy. Hey, that's the part of what makes it so fun about being a fan. We're all passionate. We all have different thoughts and ideas. Some people are going to, if it's a running back or if it's an offensive line, whatever. But so people are going to be pissed. But at the end of it, what's the biggest, most glaring needs for this team?
Linebacker.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's where you go in round 1. Yeah, I don't think there's any question.
I'd be cool. I'd be cool if they did the first two picks on a linebacker, just in case one of them doesn't work out.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, you talk about depth, why not? And then you know what the other thing too is that this is something that gets, I think, often overlooked. These guys know exactly what they're doing. Reggie knows exactly what they're doing. He could have it in his head going into this draft that I'm doing nothing but taking a middle linebacker, or at least an interior linebacker. That is the absolute number one, most important, overriding need for my football team, and I'm taking the best one that's on the board when we get there. But if there's a team in front of him that's going, man, we really need a lineman, but this Zach Cunningham looks like a pretty good player too, we might want to, he's going to say, oh, we might be looking at line. That way you force and you leverage somebody else to take a player and open that up for that other guy to be available to you when it gets there. So, I take a lot of what these guys say publicly with a grain of salt, and instead I look at the team objectively and say, all right, what can we as relatively educated football fans look and see what this team's needs are? Well, that's where they're going to go. That's where they're going to go. Unless something just unspeakable happens, which does happen in these things sometimes. Unless something crazy happens and you have a player like an Aaron Rodgers who falls completely out, and you know what I mean?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Unless something goofy like that happens. Unless, Myles Garrett falls to 24. You know what I mean? Like if you get a player like that at 24, well then okay, yeah, you'll take him. But outside of that, they're gonna follow their board, and their board I think has got to say inside linebacker.
Has to. All right, let's transition to the schedule. Raiders' schedule got dropped. The whole league got dropped yesterday. 5 primetime games, 3 Sunday nighters, a Monday night and a Thursday night, 9 road games essentially. Some pretty hellacious. Go to Washington and then come back. Go to Washington, come back, and then go to Denver. So some kind of rough travel games. Overall, you're pretty happy with the schedule?
Yeah, other than the fact that they have the Mexico City game is not that big of a deal to the Raiders. It's not that huge of a travel, but the 4 all the way East Coast games, I think still, and this is probably because, our hands got burnt on the stove, one too many times back in the day, but I forget how many games straight it was that we lost in a row. Not only in the East time zone, but on the Eastern Seaboard, which is where Washington is, which is where I know Buffalo's not on the Seaboard, but it's freaking about as far east as you can go. Same thing with Miami, same thing with Philadelphia, right? So you're going way out there, not only going to the East Coast, but you're going to the far side of the East Coast. And so those games make me nervous. I mean, at Philly Monday night, on Christmas, that's going to be awesome. I mean, the Philly fan is going to be on fire, especially if they're in some sort of playoff contention. So those games make me a little nervous, but, I love the home game against the Cowboys. Obviously I'm biased.
I might drive down to that game, man.
That's pretty freak. And listen, the NFL is no dummy when they come to making the schedule. You're talking about a Sunday night game, the last home game in Oakland against a potential Super Bowl matchup. I mean, think about the story that can be
late in the season. I mean, that's the third game at the end of the season. Late in the season. Oof.
They're no dummies. They know that all the Oakland, Las Vegas rhetoric will be on full display, and especially if we got a Marshawn Lynch playing, and and it's going to be Carr and Lynch and Cooper versus Dak and Zeke and Dez.
And for all the pissed off Oakland fans that the Raiders are going to Vegas, that's the game you come to, because Jerry Jones is basically the reason the Raiders went to Vegas. So come with your signs and hate on Jerry.
There you go. Come get them Stay Oakland signs out, and come on. Like that.
What I don't like about the schedule is we have 3 away games in the first 4 games and 3 away games in the last 4 games. Does that bother you at all? That's the first thing that jumped out at me. Is you have 3 of the first 4 games are away, and 3 of the final 4 games are away. So it's like starting out the season, not really a chance to get comfortable. And then to end the season, when the playoffs are on the line, you got to go to KC, you got to go to Philly, and then you got to go to Los Angeles Chargers, which is probably a home game for us, But it's still disruptive to the players. Is what I'm getting at. You still got to travel. You got
go away from the normal routine, and it's a little more complicated than normal. So that was the first thing that jumped out at me. Does that bother you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it when they give us all those road division games late. In the last 4 games, 2 of them, including that, now, like you said, that Chargers game that's a home game, and it has been a home game for us for a long time. But still, so
travel, travel for the player.
It's still travel, and it's still a road game in the division, and that's, I would rather them see them have less of that. And there was a bunch of those last year. Last year was real tough, but it didn't prove to be a problem for them. So I think outside of that, I think this is a more favorable schedule for the Raiders compared to when you got the Cowboys of now and the Patriots on your schedule and we get them both at home, like, all right, like, cool. And we finally have got some primetime love. We got the Sunday Nighter against the Redskins. We got NFL Network on Thursday against the Chiefs, which is at home. Then we have the Sunday Nighter against the Dolphins. And then we got the Sunday Nighter against the Cowboys. And then another Monday Nighter, like I said, on may not be a Monday night, whatever day Christmas is on this year. But, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like the schedule. So last year, if you remember right, we did something kind of fun. We ran down. You gave me a quick win or lose as we ran down the schedule. So close your eyes or look away from your screen here, and I'm going to say the team, and you just give me a W or you give me the L. Okay, ready?
Sure.
Oh, now my pen just stopped working. Out of all the dang
I think this is a little early, but we can go ahead and do this.
Let's do it. It'll be fun. I know it's a little early, and I'll tell you what. We'll revisit this before week 1. How about that? Okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. At Titans.
Win.
Jets at home.
Win.
At Redskins.
Win.
At Broncos.
Win.
Ravens in Oakland.
Win.
Chargers in Oakland.
Win.
Chiefs in Oakland.
Win.
At Bills.
Win.
At Dolphins.
Win.
Patriots at home.
That's not at home. It's in Mexico. We're calling it at home.
Oh,
Win.
That's right. Yeah. Broncos in Oakland.
Win.
Giants in Oakland.
I don't know. Win.
At Chiefs.
Win.
Cowboys in Oakland.
Oh, I don't know. They have Dak Prescott and Ezekiel. Win.
At Eagles.
Win.
At Chargers.
Mother freaking win. You want to go playoffs too? You want to go playoffs too? Let's go playoffs.
I got the same thing. We match. Looks to me like 16-0, man.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Probably 19-0 if you really think about it. Doesn't matter who. They're gonna win it all. They're never gonna lose a game the rest of their lifetime.
Hey, great minds think alike, man.
That is why you come to Raiders Fan Radio for instant analysis.
That's right.
Instant analysis and Scout's Honor. We did not go over this ahead of time. I had no idea you're gonna pop those.
No, and I was hoping you were just gonna run the table because I'm like, I think we're gonna run it too. Yeah. In all seriousness, I mean, obviously, whenever you're playing the Patriots, that's going to be, that's sketchy. I think the division games, can always be sketchy. You never know what's going to happen there. I heard Warren Sapp say one time,
Warren Sapp.
I know, but I think this is when he was still a Buck. But he said that in his mind, his goals always were to win all your home games and half your games on the road. And I always thought that was a kind of a fair way to look at your team's schedule. Can you win all your home games and then win half your games on the road? Well, we know they can beat the Titans. They've done it twice in a row now that we've seen, and we're fixing to see it 3 times in a row. And then we need to also bring that up, go back to that Titans game here. But they can win at Titans. Redskins is a winnable game. At the Broncos, that can be tough. We'll see. At Bills, that's winnable. At Dolphins is winnable. At Chiefs is winnable. At Eagles, that could be tough, right? That late in the season, especially if it's cold. And then at Chargers, that's a home game. So really, we're at risk of one, and really look at one that could be a real tough challenge. 2 maybe. So out of 8, really, that's pretty awesome. And then everything else is at home. So, despite the travel portion of it, I think the Raiders got a pretty good look, man.
Yeah, I think it's decent. I mean, it's super early to tell anything and stuff, but the road games, I mean, any road games, it's not, to me, as I think I've just getting older now, it's not so much the team that's so much to say on the road. It's just the travel and the disruption to the normal routine for the players. And I think that was really highlighted last year when they went to Florida and they had 2 Florida games. Remember that? And they ended up staying out there, Jacksonville and the Bucks. And they ended up just staying there, and it proved to be good. We won them both. The Bucks game was legendary. Carr goes 500 yards and stuff like that, you know. And so, and I read something earlier that Del Rio actually made a request saying, you know, no back-to-back, you know, deep East kind of games. And there was another request I think he had too, but I forget it. But then he also came on record and said today, nine road games is tough. And that Patriots game, even though it's at home, it's a freaking road game, man. And yes, we have a good following down there, but it's still disruption to the normal routine, which we know about NFL players. They're all about their routine. Anytime there's a disruption, that's potential for bad things to happen. So I get it. You know, you think Mark Davis wants to play as many games as Oakland as possible over the next 2 years? Heck freaking no. He's probably raising his hand, volunteering to play in London and volunteering to play in Mexico City. It's tough on the players for sure, but you know, from looking at it from Mark Davis's perspective, I probably wouldn't want to play there either. So I get going back down to Mexico. And here's the other deal: the Raiders are a worldwide brand. They're one of the few teams in the NFL and in all of sports, frankly, that are worldwide. That emblem that goes a long way. And Mexico. Who do you think is going to be more fans down there for the Patriots or for the Raiders?
Slam dunk, right?
Yeah, freaking dunk. You're going to have the bandwagons, of course, because they're the freaking Patriots. But I think the Texans are going to have more fans down there because Houston's even closer. And so while it is a travel game, the home crowd down there in Mexico City should be a little more favorable to Oakland. So that's going to be a fun game, dude. That's going to be a really fun game.
And we won there already. So that's it. Look, they just did it last year. So it's not going to be even like some crazy thing for the players. You know, it won't be as overwhelming as it has been, or as it probably was to them last year, going into that big old giant stadium and playing everything. Like, they've already done it. So it's, you know, it's not going to be any, you know, it won't be out of the norm for Derek Carr and Khalil Mack and all these guys and Krabs and Cooper and all that. They'll been there, done that. I got a question for you though. You mentioned that Del Rio requested no back-to-back Deep East home games, but yet we get the Bills and the Dolphins back-to-back going into the bye week. Do you think he keeps them over there, being especially that you got the bye week? I mean, you're talking, you know, the flight from Buffalo to Miami is, albeit it's very long, is that much shorter than there to Oakland? And does he just keep them over, take them to Miami and let them have the bye week, and then they're already there? You know, so many guys go to Florida on vacation as it is. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. If they go to Buffalo, then go to Miami and just stay down there.
I thought about that. I thought about that same thing. I mean, you know, Buffalo's far east going north, and Miami's far east going south. So, you know, both of those are just hellacious flights coming out of Oakland right there. I could see it happening again for sure, especially in the NFL. Maybe they did this a little nicer to us. The Buffalo game is an early game, and the Dolphin game is a late Sunday night game. So that way, you know, you save a few hours on both ends. So you're not saving yourself 7 hours of prep time. The thing that
and they give them the bye week before going to Mexico. So I mean, they actually did, for as bad as it may be, it's actually, you're right. They kind of did them a solid there, you know.
At least going to Mexico. If they had to come back and then go to Mexico as a home game, that would have sucked. The bye week in Miami would worry me. I don't think Del Rio's going to let them have a bye week in Miami afterwards. I think if they do stay over there, they go to Buffalo, they go to Miami, and then they come back and spend the bye week at home, and then preparation for the Patriots down there in Mexico City. So
but they get a couple days off though. I mean, that's where the now famous picture of the Giants receivers with their shirts off and they're, you know, hanging out on the boat and all that is down there in Miami. So I mean, the players do get a couple of free days in there during the bye week, and it, you know, I mean, what is there? You know, there's a fine line.
I don't like it.
You don't like it. Okay.
No.
I see, and I'm on the other side of that. I kind of feel like, you know what? Give him a couple days in South Beach to blow off some steam, man. After
you want
two
to
tough
let
games on the
Marquette
road,
King loose? You want to let Marquette King loose in Miami? Go for it, buddy.
I don't want to let Marquette King loose anywhere. Geography is not going to dictate that guy's, whatever. Yeah, no, he's kind of a knucklehead no matter what. But yeah, I'm with you though. I get it. But I mean, that's where, it's, I don't know. I mean, if it's a Tom Coughlin team, heck no, there's no way that, that kind of discipline, there's no way that players are doing it. Where if you look at, if this is a Bill Callahan team, then yeah, the players are going to be able to go nuts. So I don't know. You kind of want to reward your guys. I mean, that's a tough thing. Back-to-back road games, Bills in Miami on the East Coast. You're already down there. Do you give them a couple of days of freedom and say, all right, we'll see you in Oakland on Wednesday? I don't know. It's interesting. I think with this team, though, you certainly trust them. There's some teams that you wouldn't, some players you wouldn't trust to be able to do that. But
team. You trust
this team, you could do that. Yeah, heck yeah.
It's weird seeing Los Angeles Chargers, huh?
Yeah, it's funny that I watched. Did you watch the Ice Cube interview on Rich Eisen show this week?
No.
Okay, Rich. He was on and he was promoting his Big Three basketball league, but of course, Ice Cube flies the flag of Raider Nation, and so Rich Eisen asked him about it, and they had a 4 or 5 minute segment about the Raiders, and he's like we are. He feels they should be in Oakland, but he's going to be there week one, the day they start playing in Vegas, and he's going to support the team regardless. And he's bummed. He's an LA guy. He's bummed they didn't go to LA. But he kind of said it best that, the NFL really kind of missed the mark. He understands why Stan Kroenke didn't want the Raiders going to Inglewood and playing with the Rams because they would steal their thunder. There is no doubt. So he kind of understood why Kroenke was opposed to that. But as an overall, if we look at the big picture aspect of it from the 30,000 foot view, it was a mistake in his eyes to not have the Raiders go to Los Angeles where they already have a built-in fan base, a rabid fan base where Raider Nation is represented, and instead they put the Chargers there. But
they didn't want the Raiders there because they would have taken away from the Rams.
Well, that's exactly what I just said. But
Yeah.
that's what the way the Rams felt. That's not what the NFL maybe felt.
Oh,
That's
of course.
That's what Kroenke and his group felt, and that he thinks that there's a missed opportunity there, and he thinks that the Chargers being there, that if one of these teams is going to flame out, that's the one. That he's like, there is no, and I trust his opinion more than our own. The guys lived there, grew up there, his fandom was born there, all that. He knows more than any of us, or a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of our LA residents that listen to our show, and we're thankful for those folks that listen to us that live down there. So you all know, you guys know that the Rams will have their contingent, but the Chargers won't, and the Raiders could have. So yeah, and to answer your question, yeah, it's weird, and I think that this thing is getting ready to be a disaster. I think that I think it's the NFL has got an issue with the teams relocating so frequently as a whole as it is. But this one, man, this is going to be and again, use Ice Cube's analysis, this is going to be Goodell's legacy. Like, he thinks this is Goodell's legacy, that, this is going to, he said something about it could, kind of tank the NFL. I don't know if you're going to bring the whole thing down, but I think that this LA Charger thing is going to be an absolute mess. I just don't see that working at all.
They weren't popular to begin with. They're not good. I mean, looking at the last several years, the last time they actually had a solid season was 2009 when they were 13-3. They've had a couple of 9-7s in there. But I mean, since the year 2000, they've had 4 seasons where they've won more than 10 games. So they're not, they're always difficult to kind of play, but they're never like a powerhouse or tough, even when they had Tomlinson and all that time, and Rivers back in the day, they were never, anything super great when Breeze was there, so they're not the kind of franchise you can move. The Rams are different because they were from LA. So that's a little different story, but the Chargers, they weren't even the most popular team in San Diego to a certain degree. When the Raiders went down there, we dwarfed them. And I think it's a huge dumpster fire. And I think for the next probably 10 years, the Chargers are going to experience some low times, like super low times, like should they even exist anymore times? You know what I'm saying? Because they pissed off their loyal fan base in San Diego. They don't have anybody in L.A. L.A. doesn't even want them. Everybody knew the Raiders would have been a better fit, but the NFL didn't put the Raiders there on purpose. And so it's bad all across the board. And on top of that, they don't even have their own stadium. They're sharing somebody else's stadium. So it's not even like they have their own house. They moved somewhere and are sharing space with somebody else. Like, it's bad all across the board, dude. Crappy team. Nobody wants them there. They pissed off all the regular fan base, and they're not even that good. So, yeah, awful. Awful.
They are, and consistently, one of, if not the most overhyped team in the NFL by analysts. It's gotten a little better the past couple years, but, they were good, the Tomlinson years and the years that they were, playing the Patriots in the AFC Championship game and the whole stay classy San Diego and all that stuff. But since then, there was like every year going into, the Chargers are going to win the West. Chargers are going to win the West. How many times have we heard the Chargers are going to win the West, and they consistently suck? Like, they're not 3-13 suck, but they're like, they're freaking sold as being a Super Bowl favorite and then come out 9-7. Like, that, to me, that sucks. Like, if you're being evaluated as a championship caliber team and you turn in a 9-7, you're falling way short of expectations. So I'm with you. I think that part of the Chargers I've always hated. And yeah, they are going to be the most expendable franchise in the NFL. They won't have any ties to a facility. They don't have any ties to a city. They don't have any ties to success on the field. They're not even going to barely have ties to superstar players once Phillip Rivers retires. Who's the most popular Charger right now? Joey Bosa?
Yeah. Dan Fouts?
No, but historically, Dan Fouts, as far as guys on the field right now, friggin' Phillip's going to be gone. Can't be gone soon enough, you ask me. But he's on the way short list as far as how many years he's going to play. Like, what does this team have? I'm gonna, bold prediction of the week from Murph. I don't think they last 5 years. And you know what?
Well,
it wouldn't surprise me if not only they move, but they move out of the state of California. You watch them be the damn St. Louis Chargers.
Let me say this: they become the London Chargers.
There you go. Yes. Or the Mexico City Chargers.
And maybe,
Yes.
maybe this is the setup of move to LA. You don't have your own team. You don't have your own stadium. There's nothing holding them there. Like, they can move. They don't have any. I think they sign a lease or something like that. I don't know. But what if this is the setup? They're playing
like a soccer stadium at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right now until the stadium's built. But what if this is the setup to get them to London? Maybe that's going to happen in 5 years. Because you're right. I don't see it being fortuitous for them at all.
And you know what? I would not put it past the NFL. Just like we say in a lot of this stuff, as fans, it's kind of like politics. We're only exposed to so much. We want to think that we know everything that's going on, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of conversations that happen in boardrooms and meeting rooms and offices and things that we're just not privy to. We're just not privy to conversations between Roger Goodell and Mark Davis. We like to think that we know everything that's going on, but we really don't. So what conversations are going on between Dean Spanos and the league? You know what? You've opened my eyes on that. Absolutely, that could be something that where, look, all right, listen, Chargers, just go play with the Rams, go be their roommate for a couple of years. We're on the verge of locking down, having one of these, other countries committing to having a franchise. We're so close to London, we're so close to Mexico City. Just give us a couple years, let us lock down this deal, and then you guys will be literally the first international football team. What do you say? Okay, done.
Yeah.
And so we got to eat some crap here for the next year or two, and then all of a sudden, like you said, they're the London or Los Angeles.
Is
Absolutely.
this Chargers fan radio? This is Raiders fan radio. Let's bring it back. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. So in the meantime, all right, let's make it about the Raiders. In the meantime, there was an old show that we did called the Sports Degos a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I guess now. And I remember specifically one show where you and I went on a tirade talking about how not only were the Raiders on the precipice of their own success, but we were on the precipice of the other teams in our division falling off because we felt Phillip Rivers was going to retire, Peyton Manning was going to retire, Alex Smith was not going to be near the quarterback that everybody thinks that he's going to be. The Broncos were going to get themselves into salary cap trouble. The Chargers, it was going to be questionable where they were even going to play. Huh?
Are you
remember this conversation?
Are you saying we know what we're talking about? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying this could be Murf and Sonny Stradamus here. I'm just saying we called this years ago, and you know what? And I'm not saying this to pat our own backs. I'm saying this because it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful, man. All these other teams in our division are gonna suck ass, and the Raiders are gonna win the Super Bowl.
And if we didn't change our show every 6 months, people would be able to listen to that show because yeah. Anyway, moving forward, we're
like Skip Bayless. Oh no, we called that years ago. Just make it up.
Yeah. You can't know because we changed the show. Anyway, we're this is a long show already. One quick thing. Khalil Mack, just win, baby, just win now. Does that bother you that he did that, or is that cool?
No, I think it's cool. I think it's respective of Al's just win, baby. Right? We play it in the intro of our show. After they won that Super Bowl, and he talked about first you get great coaches, then you get great players, you have a great organization, and you do one thing, just win, baby. And so I think, just win now. It's apropos. I think for a couple of different reasons. One is that it tells the fans, hey man, not only do you guys think we can win, but we think we can win. We are built to do this.
Well,
now.
but he's saying that also because there's a need. They want to win it for the fans.
Yes.
They want to win it for the pissed off fans, for any fan in Oakland. They want to win now is why he's saying it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I think it's cool, because it's multifaceted, because it hits, it's a nice way to message the local fans that we want to get one free, that we got your back. So come to the games. Like that to me, that's what that message is that, or that part of that message anyways, is that, look, we're here for you. We're going to try to get you a championship before we bolt out of here. We're going to bolt out of here, and I can't do anything about it. My name's Khalil Mack, and I play defensive end / outside linebacker. I have zero control over where this team plays football, but I do have control over what I do when this team plays football, and that I'm committed to 100%. So if I'm committed to it, I'm going to ask you guys to be committed to it as well. And that, because again, just like Khalil Mack, Sonny and Murf and Oakland Raider City fan can't do anything about where this team's going to play football. All we can do is support them unconditionally, just like he's going to play football unconditionally. So yeah, man, just win now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know a lot of people sometimes they'll mess around with the sayings of Davis and stuff like that, but I like it. I like the sentiment. I like his meaning and his purposefulness behind it, that it's for the fans. Let's win now. And it's twofold. Let's win now because of the fans, and also, look, we got a good team. We were a small bone fracture away from last year of taking this thing all the way probably to the house. So I agree. It's now. It's now. What else? What else we got? We're running out of time. Anything pressing that we can't get to on our next episode?
The one little thing that I thought was pretty funny this week. In fact, I think it just came out this morning that the lease in Las Vegas, originally they said the Raiders were going to pay $1, but nothing. They are going to play there for free. So essentially, the Raiders just got comped in Vegas. I love that.
Now, okay, question. Typically, you get comped in Vegas for bad purposes, right? Like, if you're going to spend a lot of money there, then then they comp you because you're a horrible gambler. Are the Raiders getting comped because they're going to spend a lot of money there? Well, why are they getting comped? Because they're going to bring a lot of money? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they're going to both. The Raiders are going to spend a lot of money, and the Raiders are going to make a lot of money for the city of Las Vegas. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. I
just love the concept of them getting comped. When are they going to get free buffets out of this too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think, again, it shows, and, nobody knows unless you're on the inside. All we can ever talk about is what we think. Everybody's an outsider. as stupid Mike Silver pointed out, who blocked us a long time ago. We hate that guy anyway. Oh, yeah, Marshawn Lynch with the Raiders, done deal. Oh, really? Stupid. Everybody's an outsider unless you're truly on the inside. You know what I'm saying? He gets Big Stupid of the Week, dude. We should bring back that segment of our show. We used to have a segment called Big Stupid of the Week where we'd make fun of somebody who was a big stupid for the week. And Silver, he got it. He got everybody all fired up. And then all of a sudden, nothing. So even the insiders get it wrong. Unless you're in the boardrooms, in the meetings, signing the contracts, nobody knows jack crap, and it's all speculation. We at Raiders Fan Radio just call ourselves outsiders because we know what we are. We're not trying to be anything loftier than we are over here. So I love the fact that this came out about the Vegas deal. It just shows again how good of the deal is for the Raiders. And for everybody knocking it, I think the truth will happen over time, and it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a money-making thing, state-of-the-art stadium. We're not playing on a soccer field. We're not playing where the sewage leaks. We're not playing you're not kicking field goals from second base no more. It's going to be awesome. Anyway. Anything else?
That's all I got. Go Raiders. Hopefully by the next time we talk to you guys, Marshawn Lynch is in the backfield, and we have drafted somebody really, really cool. We'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
With or without Marshawn Lynch, no players above the team. We'll gladly take him for the right amount of money, but I don't want to give up the farm or sacrifice the future for Lynch. So if he wants to play, let's see how bad he wants to play for the city of Oakland if he's willing to take a pay cut, because we all know Reggie ain't going to overspend. And, thanks for tuning in. Raiders Fan Radio will be here again in 2 weeks after the draft, breaking down all the players that we got. And until then, go Raiders. And we will continue to take over the world. But we had to change up the song, so I guess now it's we'll say this. I like this team. We can win. We can win with this team.
Well, I love this team. I think this team can win.